Prepare for Operation Starblade. Calling Starfighter Geosword. Calling Geosword. Come in, Geosword. The enemy task force, mechanized planet Red Eye, just reached the Federation of Planets and is approaching our mother planet. Our strategy is to neutralize Red Eye and defeat the menace to our mother planet. Aim at the power source generator of Red Eye. All energy converges on the Power Stone, which is inside of Octopus. Good luck, Geosword.
In the early to mid-1990s, the on-rail shooter was starting to come into its own. It was an evolution of the old 2D scroller, but projected your ship's graphics on top of a mostly non-interactive background. It allowed for stunning, pre-rendered graphics ahead of the time where similar graphics now could just be handled by the live rendering engine. Sylphid is a personal favorite of mine, but today we'll be focusing on one of its arcade contemporaries, Starblade, which was first released by Namco to arcades in September of 1991. The game was based on a similarly designed theme park ride Namco had released the previous year and wanted to bring to a broader audience. They went all out on the cabinet, giving it a parabolic display to simulate a wider viewing field, sort of like the battle pods you might see in more modern arcades. It had a flight yoke, rumble solenoids, the whole shebang. Kinda wish I'd been able to experience that when I was a kid. Likely would have blown my mind. And wallet. The gameplay is pretty straightforward, with you only controlling the gun turret as the ship is piloted along without your input. That's perfectly fine though, as there's more than enough to keep you on your toes. As the gunner on the FX-01 Geosword, it's up to you to make sure your ship makes it to the machine planet Red Eye to defeat its power source and then eliminate the commander of its army. If you've got enough quarters, it's not a very long game, but it was still quite the experience. The game came home only 2 years later, both to the Sega CD and 3DO, but they'd limit your continues to give you a little more of a challenge. You can tell there's a little bit of compromise to get it to run on the home machines, but it still largely delivers the arcade game's experience, minus the arcade's immersive elements, of course. In 1995, a port came to the PlayStation called Starblade Alpha, which not only contained a closer reproduction of the arcade experience, but also added an enhanced mode that spiced things up with textures on the originally flat-shaded polygons. There is a good way to play this game from the comforts of home nowadays, and it comes down to a little bit of footwork in Tekken 5 for the PlayStation 2. You'll spot it immediately as a load screen bonus game, but there are 2 ways to unlock the full version to play at whim. First, if you play the Devil Inside campaign up to level 4-2, you'll find a fake wall you can break open. Hop over and go down the hallway to find a small model of the Geosword hanging out for you to collect. You do need to complete the rest of level 4 to finalize the unlock, but once that's done, Starblade will pop up along the older Tekken games in the Arcade History Museum. The second method is easier described than done. Simply complete arcade mode with every character. Personally, I did the former. Over the years, Namco decided to try to meld a bunch of their disparate games into a single universe called the United Galaxy Space Force. Starblade was one of the gems in this narrative, and while it encompasses the likes of Galaga and Galaxian, the timeline even includes more unusual titles you wouldn't consider, such as Cybersled and Dig Dug. One major retcon is that the storyline of Ace Combat 3 Electrosphere is also considered to be the beginning of this storyline, as it is so far the latest in the series chronologically, and even includes a little bit of space combat. All in all, Starblade is likely one of the more legendary titles that many have never had a chance to experience. If you're a fan of scrolling shooters like R-Type, or rail shooters like Panzer Dragoon or Rez, you owe it to yourself to give this a try. Do you have any memories of playing Starblade in the arcade or at home? Got a favorite rail shooter to share? Let me know here in the comments below or on Twitter at TesseractUnfold. Meanwhile, please like, subscribe, spread the word, and I'll see you again next week.